Hey guys, welcome to Hope with Jonathan. I'm your host, Jonathan Traylor, a kidney transplant recipient who decided to use his personal story with battling kidney failure to start a podcast to share for other kidney warriors. Guys, listen, tonight, if you showed up here for a show on dialysis caregivers, you have come to the right place. Tonight's show is completely featured on dialysis caregivers. And as you guys know, dialysis caregivers have a special place in my heart for sure, because my wife was my personal dialysis caregiver, care partner, whatever you want to call yourself. Definitely special people, angels. They're angels, if you will. And tonight we wanted to feature them right here on Hope with Jonathan. So if you came here for that, you're in the right place. And hey, guys, if you're new here, our podcast, we share stories of hope. We share stories for other kidney warriors that are in need of a donor, or maybe they've already had a kidney transplant, or maybe they're just newly diagnosed with kidney disease. We share some incredible, inspiring shows. We try to inspire, motivate, educate, all about kidney disease. So we definitely appreciate all your support for Hope with Jonathan. And if you've had the opportunity or chance, we hope that you've had the opportunity to hit that subscribe button. And we would really, really appreciate it. Also, guys, just to let you guys know really quick, a disclaimer. As you guys know, this is not a prescription or by any means a diagnosis. So any information that we share here on Hope with Jonathan, definitely consult with your team before you would make any changes at all. Definitely want to get that out there. With that being said, guys, we've got an incredible show for you guys tonight. We've got some great care partners representing from different areas. Actually, we're going international. Our northern brother, we got a brother from Canada on here tonight. So it's going to be an incredible show. We're going to bring them on and let them share their journey. So dialysis caregivers, guys. Again, I was a hemodialysis patient that was going in center. Many of you know my story. I was basically hit by a truck by kidney disease, kidney failure, and ended up in center dialysis for probably around 9 or 10 months. And I got to a point where I had learned so much about the machines and asked so many questions, and my DaVita team had finally came to me and said, "Hey, Jonathan, we think you'd be a great candidate for home dialysis, home hemodialysis. But one thing, you gotta have a caregiver. We won't let you do it alone." And there's many people out there that do dialysis all by themselves, which is incredible. And we salute you as well. But they would not let me do the training. They wouldn't let me do anything unless I could get a caregiver. So I went home, talked it over with my wife, Melissa. And she was gracious enough, after watching some YouTube videos on DaVita and Next Stage. And, she actually got inspired and said that she thought that she could handle it. So we went in, immediately did the treatment or did the training. And I think by like the second or third day, they had my wife in there actually sticking me with the needles. And, because they were like, "Look, you're going to be doing this treatment, with Jonathan. So you might as well get your hands in here and start doing it." And my wife, we got in there, and she really rolled her sleeves up and went to work. And she had so much information that she had to soak up and absorb within smaller amount of time. I think it was around 3 or 4 weeks of training that we had. And then ultimately we just graduated the program and went home and we were doing home hemodialysis, which was incredible. And that whole experience, man, it really inspired me. Really think it was the best option that I could have ever done in my life, was to get out of in-center dialysis. Man, I was getting depressed. I was locked into a schedule. Every Saturday I was going in center, having to do treatments, and it began to depress me. I realized I was stuck on this time schedule that I just felt like there had to be more. And once they brought me the idea of going to home hemodialysis, I was really inspired. I was like, yes, maybe this is my opportunity. And you know what? It was. I got my life back. I felt liberated. And I felt amazing. My labs were amazing. My labs improved. My fluid levels improved. My potassium improved. My KT over V improved. My phosphorus levels. I mean, basically, guys, I was told by my nephrologist that I looked so good that they wouldn't even know that I was a kidney dialysis patient due to the fact that I was doing home hemodialysis. But hey, guys, listen, I wanted to just share a little snippet of my story before we bring on our guest. And real quickly, just give a shout out to everyone out here that's watching. We got some great people watching here. Mr. Uncle Jim Myers. Shout out to Uncle Jim Myers. Thanks for watching, Uncle Jim Myers. To Kia Howard. Hey, nice to see you tonight. Appreciate you watching. Really appreciate you. We got a P Teach. Hey, P Teach, appreciate you. Yes, appreciate you watching. And again, to Kia Howard, appreciate you again. Thanks again for watching Hope with Jonathan. I hope you guys will stick around. Continue to ask questions. Drop a comment. Let your voice be heard. And we'll definitely throw you up on the screen and interact with you, talk with you. But without further ado, guys, I got some special guests I want to bring on to the show. Let me see if I can find that intro. Yeah, here it is, right here, guys. Hey, guys, welcome to the show. Our guest, and like I said tonight, guys, it's all about dialysis caregivers. Welcome to the show.
Kick.
Everybody shake it, baby. Everybody shake it,
Hey, guys, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hello.
Hope everyone's doing well tonight.
Good. Love that intro. Thanks.
No, no problem, man. I really put a lot of heart and soul and time and effort into these, so I appreciate your compliment. But I guess what we'll do is we'll go ahead and start kind of around the room and kind of let everyone introduce themselves. So I guess we'll start with Melissa. Go ahead, Melissa.
Oh, great. I get to go first. Well, I'm Melissa Traylor, Jonathan's wife. Basically, we've been together 20 years. I don't really know what more to say.
Well, you were my dialysis caregiver.
Yes. You talked about it was like the best thing, that happened to you.
Yeah.
For that, I did see a difference, in your demeanor and things like that. I do know that it opened up our schedule a little bit. I was definitely nervous doing that. I agreed to it. I don't really see myself as like a caregiver I mean, I guess it's just I'm your wife and we would take care of each other no matter what. So it wasn't like anything. I don't have a special title or you keep saying like an angel or whatever. I don't look at it like that. It's just something you do. When you got to do it, you do it.
Well, I beg to differ. I think you definitely were my angel, and
I appreciate that.
you put a lot of heart and soul into it. So definitely was my angel and my caregiver, and at a time when I really needed you, and so yeah, you definitely were my angel. So definitely appreciate it. Hey, we'll come right back to you, Melissa. Hey, Kyle, you,
Okay.
you want to go next?
Sure. So, as many of you know me, my name's Kyle from KWM, and my wife is a dialysis patient, Shannon, and she was going to be on with us. As you see, everyone else has their partner, but Shannon is currently recovering from COVID and can't leave the room. She contracted COVID from my son, so she's probably watching, but she's doing very well. So Shannon has polycystic kidney disease, and I have been her caregiver. But like Melissa said, I don't look at it as a caregiver either. When we all took our vows, it said in sickness and in health. So, and Don will probably tell you the same, that I just do it because that's what I need to do to be with her. So I don't look at it as caregiving, even though it is, but I don't look at it that way either. So I agree with Melissa.
Well, I'm sure if Shannon could speak for you, or she was here, I'm sure she would beg to differ. But because caregivers are just amazing, and not everybody's willing to do it. So it's I think it's definitely worth being commended for. But we'll come back to you, Kyle,
Okay.
and we're gonna let Don and Jimmie Bates speak for a few minutes. You guys like to introduce yourself?
See, I am.
We're
I
having
think she's muted, Jonathan.
a little bit of a feedback there. No, we can't really hear you. So I'm gonna remove them for now and have them come back. But this was my first question for you guys. Since we're gonna go ahead and get into questions. I hope you guys don't mind that. But what modality choice? So Melissa, if you remember correctly, so we did hemodialysis.
Right.
For many of you that are out there, pretty much know what hemodialysis is already. But hemodialysis is where they, put needles into a fistula or with a central line in your chest. Many of you call it a permacath. That's the way that they, do dialysis, where they cleanse your blood and all that. You got to cleanse the blood because you got to remove the toxins and the extra fluid because when your kidneys don't work, your kidneys have no way of filtering the blood, removal of fluid and toxins. So you have to have the process of dialysis. There's two modality choices that you can have. You can either do hemodialysis or peritoneal dialysis. And so then Kyle, his wife Shannon is doing peritoneal. Kyle, can you tell us a little bit of how you do peritoneal?
Yeah. So every night, Shannon, I set up her machine, and she will connect to the machine just before bedtime, and she's on that machine. There's a lot of like little science involved, like what solution she's going to use. We figure all that out based on her blood pressure, her weight, and how she's feeling on that day. And then she will hook up beside me in the bed. She'll hook up for 10 hours, and it's like a 2 to 3 hour cycle. And so she'll be filled with the solution. The machine will rest for 2 hours, and as she's sleeping, it'll drain, clean, taking out all the toxins with it, and then refill her again. And that goes on for a 10-hour cycle.
Okay. All right. Hey, Don was having a little bit of some communication there, or some internet issues. We've all had them. Welcome back to the show, Don. I want you guys to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. My name's Jimmie Bates, and Jimmie here.
Hey,
He's
Jimmie.
finishing his treatment. We are from Iowa, and he was actually on in-center dialysis when we reconnected. We grew up together. We've known each other since we were 12 years old, and went through school together after we graduated high school. Lost touch 25 years later, reconnected. And at that point in time, like I said, he was already doing in-center. We started seeing each other exclusively, and he's like, "Do you know what you're getting yourself into?" And I'm like, "Oh, yes, absolutely." Well, all of us know we really don't
No.
until we're in the middle of it. But it didn't matter, it didn't matter because it's like I loved him and whatever it was going to take. And when shortly after we were married, we were approached by the home dialysis nurse, and she asked if he would be interested in doing home hemo, and he was not interested at all. He didn't want anything to do with it. And I am a very pushy wife. I say it all the time. And I just said, look, go experience the difference. If you don't like it, go back to doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And he tried it and he loved it, and he has been on it ever since. In 2012, he got a transplant. In 2017, he crashed back into dialysis after a very scary time on ECMO and lots of other medical issues.
Yeah.
But he has been actually Sunday was 4 years that he's been back on HHD. So, and he chooses to do it 7 days a week because he feels better. It's not his prescription. He asked the doctor if he could do it every day, and the doc said yes. So
Amazing. Amazing. And you know what? I remember you came on and did the interview with me, and we talked about Jimmie's experience when he lost a lot of weight and would look very sickly. I seen a lot of the pictures of him when he was in that time and era, and he
yep.
looks 100% better than what he
Oh
looked
yes.
like then.
Oh
And
yes.
so I would say home hemodialysis has just been a lifesaver for him.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So he looks incredible compared to those photos. Hey, Jimmy.
I'm
So
doing
we're talking about you, brother. But yeah, incredible difference. I know when I went on home hemo, not to disclude peritoneal, because Kyle, you can chime in at any time. I know that Shannon's doing peritoneal, but man, I felt incredible. I was doing 5 treatments a week, or 5 treatments, a week, versus 3 treatments a week. And but I could tell immediately that I had a lot more energy. I was able to walk for miles. I mean, I was doing like 3 mile walks. I was riding my bike, my mountain bike. I mean, I had an incredible amount of energy. And when I went in and followed up with my nephrologist, she looked at me and said, I wouldn't even know you're a dialysis patient if you wouldn't told me, because you look so well. Your labs look excellent. And so, yeah, I mean, home hemodialysis, but I couldn't have done it without my caregiver, Melissa. So she was just incredible.
Well, I can say about peritoneal. So Shannon was 3 days a week in center hemo. And the reason she came home was she had the chest catheter for 2 years almost. And with her being her age, which I'm not going to say, I like my head right here. Being younger, they said, we need to get that out of your heart. It's got to come out. So she had 5 fistula surgeries and they all failed. So peritoneal was like the only option. Now, Shannon with polycystic kidney disease, I saw her mom on peritoneal and I was like, I don't like it. Like it was every 4 hours for her mom and there was no life there. So when they offered the overnight, I was like, okay, let's do that. And she has responded better than hemodialysis. I don't know if it's because of the overnight treatment and the 10 hours every day is helping her, and not getting up every 3 days, 7 o'clock in the morning, we'd have to be there and sitting on that machine for 4 hours and trying to come home. And I mean, I guess one of the differences too that we're noticing is we have younger children. My youngest is 9 years old. So it's actually really helping in that aspect too.
Awesome. Yeah, it was great for the kids. I had more energy, do things with, of course, my kids were a little bit older, teenagers, but, dad still got to try to keep up with them. Good luck.
Oh, absolutely. And Jonathan, all of our kids are grown. We have, between Jimmie and I, we have 5 kids, but we have 13 grandkids.
Oh,
and
that's a lot to keep up with.
It is. And at the beginning of the pandemic, we were online schooling 2 of them and had a 2-year-old here with us. And so, yeah, he couldn't be tired. We needed him up and moving and helping out here.
Sure.
So like I told Jonathan earlier today, it's like, there are some days Jimmie has his concrete shoes on and he's just kind of procrastinating. It's like, no, I don't want to get on today. Right now I'm busy. He's enjoying life is what it is.
Yeah.
But now it's like the benefit for me as his care partner, and I call myself a care partner because I don't do it all. I do put his needles in, and we don't have a next to me, so I document everything. But other than that, he can do everything else. And
awesome.
So like today, I'm like, all right, here's the grocery list. These are things we need to have done before Christmas. See you, bye. And he was off and running.
That's awesome.
There was a day we had 15 minutes to get him from the center to home before he crashed.
Yeah. Yeah. It's awesome to see you guys thriving with home dialysis and you being his care partner. That's awesome. Guys, listen, this is going to be for anyone, so just chime in at any time. What are some pros of being a dialysis caregiver? What are some pros? Anybody?
Um, I'll go, I guess. You learn a lot about yourself. I mean, we've all done things that if you told probably any of us 20 years ago, 10 years ago, that you'd be doing with your partner, you'd be like, no way.
Right.
No, I'm not doing that. Like, it a good example, like when they're sick, sometimes you have to do certain things to help them out, and you learn more about yourself, and you learn more about what true love really is, I would say, because you just do it. I don't even think twice. I need this. I'm there, and I, like I mentioned, Shannon having COVID right now, it's been double duty for me because she's down and out, and to the point they wanted to send a nurse to her house, and I said, no, I got it. Like, don't expose someone else to COVID. I got it. If I get it now, I get it now, but I'm vaccinated. If I get it, I get it. And then my son went ill with it, so I had another patient to deal with. But
Yeah.
you just learn in yourself that you can do so much more. So you bring that, I think, I know I bring that into KWM. I didn't think that I could start a website and help people and tell their story, but when you build off of getting out of your comfort zone, you learn that in yourself you can do anything that you want to do. And not for and none of us do it to be on a show and get comments and stuff. No,
Right.
not at all.
Right.
We do it
Right.
with love for
Right.
our partners.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I would do this regardless. I did do this regardless. The first time around, it was just Jimmie and I, and we didn't, because of all the HIPAA laws, we had no idea of anybody else who was doing it, because they couldn't tell us. And the more involved that we've gotten as the second time around, I mean, the first time around compared to the second time around for me was like night and day, because the first time it was like, oh, he'll get a transplant, we'll have a normal life, and that'll be that. I mean, that's how stupid I was. And I don't want
Yeah.
to say stupid. I wasn't stupid. I was uneducated. Okay.
Yeah.
And now it's like, I've had people say, well, if he's doing so good, why does he want a transplant? Well, because he wants to, and if he doesn't get it, he doesn't get it, but we're not really pushing for it either.
Yeah.
This is in God's hands,
That's
and
right.
that's where we're leaving it. In the meantime, we're just loving life. And
That's the best perspective to even think about that.
Yeah.
You have to keep positive, because not every day is sunshine and roses. There
Right.
are bad days, but
Yeah.
you try to stay positive the best you can.
Absolutely. And, like Kyle was saying, Shannon has COVID, and thank God she's at home. Jimmie and I in November both got COVID, and
Wow.
because he is compromised more than I am, and he had no signs, we thought it was a sinus infection. We thought it was a headache, and then there were a couple other symptoms that was like, we better get checked. Found out we had it. 24 hours later, I'm rushing him to the ER because he's just not himself. Nothing else. He didn't have a cough. He didn't have respiratory issues. He just wasn't himself. He was confused. And I took him in, and his oxygen was at 79. Like that's part of being a caregiver, care partner. You are so in tune with your partner that
Right.
know something's not right. And
Awesome.
I took him in. I sat there with him until we knew he was going to be admitted. And I left that hospital bawling, because that is like my biggest fear, is for him to be in the hospital, because it's always been, he goes in, I go in. I don't leave until he leaves. And that's how it's always been since 2009. We've
Right.
always been in the hospital together. Always.
Awesome.
And so I was a hot mess last month. I'm going to tell you that. But I have
I
some
bet.
really good friends that are very supportive that help me through it.
Yes. Yes. And
I
that's
totally understand, because that person's just your one person. So it's like, when the other person isn't there, or if you can't be with them to help them, you feel totally lost. You don't know what
Yes.
to do.
Yes.
Yeah,
They're
and a
an
lot of
extension of you.
exactly. And Melissa, a lot of times, like
Right.
now in our marriage, she finishes sometimes my sentences and things that I forget about. She remembers. If I've lost something, it's probably in her purse somewhere or some, you know. So
Right.
she's just, you know, like, but like you said, you're so in tune with the patient that you just know something's not right, you know.
Yep.
Well,
So
even
that's amazing.
even what Don just said, like, I'm glad Jimmy's recovered very well. That happy for that. But with him being in the hospital, Shannon's in the other room, and what I wouldn't do to run in there and just give her a hug,
Right.
and I can't,
Exactly.
Right.
and I can't right now. But that I'm lucky enough she's home, and unfortunately had the distance, but I feel your pain because
Yeah.
even when she was on in center dialysis, I would sit there on the Saturday morning for the 4 hours.
Mhm.
The Tuesday, Thursday, I had to work. I couldn't do anything, but those 4 hours right by your side, every appointment that I could make, I'm there.
Yep.
It's harder. I
Mhm.
have to get to work sometimes, and we do have a support system beyond me. But I want to be there every second, and I'm sure you guys are the same.
Oh
And
yeah.
I saw the comment, and thank you, honey. She put, I'm
Yeah. You know what? Shout out to Shannon McDonald, man.
I know. I
She's a
miss
really
seeing her
sweet lady.
today.
Yeah, she's a real sweetheart. So shout out to Shannon for watching. We also have Matthew Novelli watching, and shout out to Lou Ortiz. My man Lou Ortiz is watching. So shout out to Lou. He's a real cool guy. I really appreciate his support for Hope with Jonathan. So, hey guys, listen, let's talk about some difficult things that you guys have come across while being a caregiver. What kind of difficult things have you came across? We talked about a few pros. What kind of difficult things?
ladies.
Anybody want to go
Well,
first?
I guess I can discuss that a little bit. When we first started out, like Dawn was saying that think like you think you know it, like you can handle it, but then you're gonna come across those situations that, wait a minute, I don't know what I'm doing.
Mhm.
But I'm glad I had a very good team of nurses that taught me everything they could in the month's time to do the home hemo, because we had several glitches in the in center while we were doing training, and rather like the machine would act up, just different things. And the second day of being at home, our electricity went out because of a storm
I will
in
remember
the
that.
middle of treatment.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for those glitches that happened in center, and those were learning moments, I don't know what I would have done. Second day home, and I'm nervous enough just trying to do this on my own. And for me, the sticking of the needles was probably the most, I guess, stressing part of it. I can handle all the logging everything, and when those beeps and the alarms go off, that kind of was scary. But for me, it was always to make sure I was sticking the needles properly. I didn't want to hurt him. But if it wasn't for my nurses, in fact, today I could go and talk to them, and they're just great inspiration to, you know, me, and I would hug their necks to this day. I would love to go and see them again.
Yeah, our local DeVita was awesome. Like
Yes, they were.
they went to the extra mile. Uh, I mean, we even had our nurses her personal cell phone number that you would call if you had problems.
Right. And
You
we
didn't have to
did.
just you
We
didn't have to
had
just
to.
call DeVita. You could call her and talk
Right.
with her, which was I thought was amazing.
And they never fussed because they got a phone call or anything. Now,
Yeah,
I don't know what we woke one of them up in the middle of the night, like 2 a.m,
yeah,
because we had a
early
late
on.
treatment and we had
Yeah,
some problems with the access.
yep.
I think it was your arterial, what venous or arterial was acting up, and I was, next stage couldn't help me. When I called them, I'm like, I'm just going straight to my nurse.
But one thing I want to say about my wife Melissa, just real quickly. So when this happened, like she said, the electric went out. my wife's training kicked in immediately, and she's like, "Okay, we got to do an emergency return of blood."
I know. I don't
And
know. It just
she like
instantly I
immediately,
knew it.
it was like Superwoman. She was like, "We got to do it. We got to do emergency." And we had just learned this like maybe a week or two before. I mean, we had just started doing our own treatments at home, and boom, the electric goes out. This rainstorm came out of nowhere. It never rains in South Texas, it seems like. And of course, the week we start dialysis, this thunderstorm from where it came in and knocked out the power a couple of times. And here I am in the last hour. I think it was like the last hour or maybe
Yeah, you
two
had
hours,
1 hour left.
1 hour left, and boom, and then she just went. I mean, her training just kicked in. It was amazing. It was phenomenal to watch because, like I said, we couldn't do it without a caregiver, without a care partner. You know, just amazing. And anybody else have anything they want to chime in on that?
I noticed Dawn's. It looks like she's getting ready to disconnect Jimmie, so I'll
He's
go.
disconnected.
See,
Watching Dawn.
we even know what each other are doing. I knew she
Yeah.
was up to that.
Right.
But,
Watching Dawn reminded me of a video that you took of me disconnecting you, and then you showed it on your Facebook page when you very first started all of that. I remember. I was like,
Yeah,
I was
I have,
embarrassed. I was like, I don't want to be on video.
yeah. Facebook puts them in my memories, and I just recently seen some of those videos. So really cool.
Yeah.
So one of the cons for me is the equipment, the amount of boxes, the amount of equipment that we have here. Up here, they're gracious enough. We have delivery every 2 weeks. The very first time we got that delivery of 75 boxes for 1 month, it was just insane. I didn't know where to put it.
Right.
So now we're on a 2 week schedule, so it's not as bad. They do tomorrow's delivery day, so we have to prepare for that, but it's not as bad. And the other con is I just want my wife to be okay and not do this anymore, and all of us get our lives back. And that's a con for me. That's just doing it is a con. Why? I'd rather do it, not her. I don't want her to do it. So they're my cons. Otherwise, as long as she responds well, and I think one other small con, we know them better than they almost know themselves, and getting the medical teams to listen to us, like with polycystic kidneys, she blew a cyst one day, and they had her in emerge for hours on hours. And I said, she blew a cyst. She's gonna be fine. Just send her home. It takes a couple of days for the cyst to clear it all out. With dialysis, it'll clear out. She'll be fine. But no, they have to go through the steps. They don't listen to us. And we are the ones caring for them, and they need to listen to us as well. We're their voice when they can't speak.
Right.
Absolutely, Kyle. Absolutely. And I know that it was extremely frustrating. I mean, I feel very blessed that we did not have any emergencies, during when the pandemic was first out there and nobody could go in. I mean, you dropped your loved one off at the ER and drove away. You couldn't even go in and wait with them. That's how it was here. You couldn't even go into the ER with your loved one. And it's like, how are they supposed to speak for themselves if they're not feeling well? I mean, they're not even allowed to feel bad because, they're asking questions. And so it's very frustrating. And, we even the day that Jimmie was admitted with COVID, I panicked because this is me. This is nobody can take care of him better than I can.
Right. Right.
I remember the first time I put needles in my husband, I cried. Okay. I cried. And yes, you know what? I accidentally dumped a whole bag of saline into my husband, like within the first week of being home, and called the nurse. And I talk a lot. I do. I got a gift to get up. And you know what? When I am panicked, I'm quiet. And she knew that. And he knew that. And so he's talking to me. I got her on the phone. And she's asking me questions, and I'm looking at the machine. I'm looking at him, and I'm trying to figure out what is going on. Where did his blood go? And the next question out of my nurse's mouth is your door unlocked? And I said, yes. And she walked into my house. So she was driving across town to my house in the middle of this emergency because she knew I was panicked. This is December. I'm ready to throw this damn machine out the window. And I told
totally
her,
understand.
yes. And you know what she said? It's okay, honey. I'll go out and pick it up and clean it off, and we'll get it all set up for you again. It's okay.
That's a great nurse right there.
She is an amazing nurse. She is, and I'm so proud to say she's running our program now. So she's in charge.
Wow.
But
That's
yeah,
awesome.
I mean, I've also had
That's
times
awesome.
we had to call in the middle of the night because Jimmie had a panic attack, and we thought he was having a heart attack. And yep, she was great. She was great.
Don, that's awesome. You know what? That brings back a memory about our machines. We had, how many failed machines did we have? Three. In like the first month, we had like 2 defective machines. They kept throwing a code. I forget which code it was. Don't ask me right now.
I know. I don't remember. I mean, that's a little foggy.
Yeah. So they train you on all these codes that you're going to see on the regular. But then this was like a code that we had to get the book out and start looking through codes to find out what this code was. And it had to do with a sensor and a mirror that are inside when you pull open the door and you look inside where you put the cartridge, there's some sensors and mirrors in there. And when we finally, got a hold of them, they said, yeah, we're going to have to send you another machine. This happened like twice. And I was like, I don't know what's going on. This is crazy. But you know what? Shout out to Next Stage. We had a machine within 24 hours. I never missed the treatment, did I, Melissa?
No.
Never missed the
I was
treatment.
amazed about that. Even though like sometimes the shipments were a little iffy, but you did get your supplies. But when they had to give you a new machine, it was there. They air flighted it, it was fast.
Yes, it was.
And we're an hour from the airport anyway. So it was within 24 hours.
Yep. Well, let's talk a little bit about setup and who does all that and the process. I know with hemodialysis, there was kind of a more of a time of a setup, and we had some tricks and tips and some ways to kind of cut some corners. That way we were kind of set up for the next treatment. I can't really speak on peritoneal, so I guess I'll let Kyle maybe go first. Kyle, what's your setup like? Does Shannon help you, or do you do all the work, or what's the setup? What's the process?
I do everything. I'm joking.
She's gonna knock you out later.
She can't come out of the room.
Yeah, I seen a shoe fly by your head.
So for Shannon, I do mainly the setup. So she tells me what her treatment should be that night based upon her numbers. And those bags for peritoneal can get really heavy. They're 5-liter bags. So I think each box, there's 2 in a box, and they're about 25, 30 pounds a box. So it's a little heavy for her. So, and breaking those bags, so you have to break them. See, I got in trouble now. So there's 2 compartments, and you have to break them. It's a little tough to break them. So I do all the setup for her. And then priming the machine, it takes about half an hour to get all the parts in and everything.
Sure.
And then she also has a day drain. So after she's done the morning, she'll hold on to the solution for about 5 hours. And I'm at work at that time. So I just kind of set her up, with the drain bag, and then she can take care of that. During this time, I've still been breaking the bags, and then I leave. So she also knows how to do the smaller parts. So she's taking care of herself in there. And then cleanup, she usually does the cleanup and disconnects. Well,
that's very interesting. I never learned anything about the peritoneal, but I guess because we chose, he was already on the hemo and he had the chest catheter and then got the fistula. It was just, an unsaid thing. We would just go straight to the home hemo. We never even thought of the peritoneal. But
Well, that was due to the fact that I was an emergency case, and at that point, you have no option but to get the central line put
Right,
in your
right.
chest.
You
Yeah,
didn't, yeah,
I
at
didn't
the
really
very
have a.
beginning.
I did everything backwards, so don't pay attention to my story because I did everything backwards. I started with a near death experience. I was supposed to be preparing myself, but anyway, you guys can go back and watch another video and kind of find out more about my story. But
But that just goes to show you, Jonathan, that every case is different. Every
yeah,
It is. Every kidney
person,
disease person, it's different.
yep,
yes, it's
yep,
very individualized. There are no two
yes.
that are exactly the same.
Yeah, the common theme is kidney disease, and but you're right. Each story is very unique and to their own, which makes it really special and amazing. So
Well,
Yep.
each treatment is individualized too, because not everyone can do hemo, and then not everyone can do the peritoneal. I mean, it just whatever suits you the best for your
Right.
body.
And it's forever changing because like I have a friend of mine who started in center, went to home hemo, transitioned over to PD, and now is back in center, you know,
Hmm.
okay,
and
And
actually is supposed to be getting a transplant in March. So,
awesome,
and
awesome.
mhm,
not only is each patient different, each country's different.
yes,
Because I
That's
know that
true.
up here in Canada, we do things. We have different bags, different solutions, and we do things different. Like just for example, when I saw Don disconnecting Jimmy there, here we have to wear a mask and no gloves, where you had to wear gloves. And every time we touch something, we sanitize. They
mhm,
give us all this
Yeah,
sanitizer. So just that
yeah,
little difference of masking, and there's many things like with the work Jonathan and I do, I've met many in the US and up here in Canada, and there's so many differences just in how we do things.
sure,
exact.
sure.
Even the training, Kyle. I mean, you can go from one center, and it could be they could all be DeVita or all be Fresenius, and the
Yeah,
training is different from one center to
yep.
the next,
Yeah.
Right.
always.
Like and like I said in the early part of the video, they Melissa was sticking me about was it like the second or third day they had you in there putting the needles in me, right?
It probably was about the third or fourth day that I watched them do it. I think for the first 3 days,
Yeah,
and then she says, you know, the best way to do this is for you to just jump in because I guess they knew I was apprehensive about the needles part of it, because I didn't want to hurt you. I
yeah.
just
And they were still trying to develop a track because I had the buttonholes.
right.
They
They
were
decided to
they
do the
were
buttonholes.
yeah,
Not you'd have to learn the two different types. I didn't learn just to stick the fistula in the different areas. They wanted me to stick to the one particular
yeah,
route.
yeah.
But in your case, it worked out. Not everybody can do buttonholes.
Right,
Right.
right.
That's true. And
And
I mean, in all the years that I've done this, I've even learned that, um, like Jimmy has buttonholes, but there's been times we've had to start a new site. Now,
Yes.
Right.
the first time around, there is no way I would have even considered starting a new site on my own. Today, I don't even think twice about it. You know, it's,
Right.
yep, this is what we need to do. I look at his fistula. I'll take a picture of myself pointing at where I'm going. And I too have got the nurses, all three nurses' personal cell phone numbers. And I'll send them a picture and saying, we got to start a new site. This is where we're going.
Yeah, that's
and
Um,
awesome.
here in Canada, they don't do buttonholes anymore. They
Okay.
really?
don't even do them. Yeah.
Wow. That's some new information. I
Yeah.
didn't know that, Kyle.
They told
Awesome.
Shannon they don't do it anymore.
Okay.
Well, I've learned too that like when you and not I mean not even from our nurse, but just being around other people, talking to other people, is that putting, when you put a buttonhole in, you don't want to put it all the way to that white tip. You don't want to go all the way to that. You want a little
Yeah.
bit of that needle sticking out a little bit because
Yeah.
otherwise you're going to make a hole bigger. It
Right.
Yeah.
doesn't need to be bigger, and then you're going to have that bleeding around that site, and you don't want that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Back to your question about does the setup. So I actually helped Melissa do the setup with
Hmm.
the hemodialysis. When we would get the boxes and supplies, like Kyle mentioned, the boxes were quite heavy, and even at that time in my recovery, I would say from near death experience, I was still pretty weak. But that was part of my exercise routine. So every time we got a delivery, they would deliver. Sometimes the boxes were outside the door. And so, just a long story short, the guy would come from San Antonio, it was about an hour away, and he would literally leave the boxes outside the door. We live in an apartment. So I would have to bring the boxes in and kind of organize them. And my first delivery was like 74 boxes. So you can only imagine that wasn't all dialysate. There was cartridges, saline, and but my majority of it was dialysate because I did 5 bags per treatment. I didn't do the small. I didn't make batches.
Yeah,
Uh,
you didn't use the pure flow.
yeah, didn't use the
Yeah.
pure flow. They
Mhm.
said that bags would probably be the best way
Hmm.
for me to do it, so that's the way they trained us. So
Well, that
well,
also had to do with our apartment and the space
yeah,
that we had
we
and
probably
the
could have done it.
access of our water.
Yeah, we probably could have made it work, but
Hmm.
there was something about a plumber was going to have to get involved or something. So we did
No,
bags.
I know I didn't understand that either, but yeah, we could
Well,
have
yeah,
done it.
that was
yeah,
Davita's
because
excuse.
right, yeah, because we live in an upstairs apartment. All right, it's 15
Uh-huh.
steps up to our apartment, and we get our delivery once a month. And yeah, that first delivery was a pain in the butt.
Yeah,
Okay, and yes, if we travel taking that machine up and down the steps, it is not easy.
yeah,
That's something we have to do together.
yeah,
Setting up the machine, that's going to depend on the day.
Right.
If I need Jimmy to do some running, I'll be like, all right, dude, here's the deal. You go do this run and I'll set up your machine.
yeah,
But if I'm busy doing some work on my own, it's like, nope, your treatment, get it done. you know? Um,
yeah.
but that's how it is. But yeah, even as far as like the water line, no, we rent from my mom and she was just like, no, I don't want any extra plumbing. So we connect to a faucet, our kitchen faucet, and we
Sure.
drain into our kitchen sink and
That's what
Uh,
we
follow
did.
that.
We drain our line into our kitchen sink, so I don't know
Mhm,
why we couldn't have
I
done the pure flow, but
mhm.
it worked out the best the way it was, I
Yep,
guess.
Yeah.
yep.
And so, yeah. And so, in doing that, like I was in charge of lifting the boxes and all
Mhm.
that stuff. And then Melissa would handle like the charts and writing down all the blood pressure readings and all that stuff. And then, of
I would
course,
snap the lines
yeah,
and,
you did the setup. You did the
yeah,
prep. So, like priming the machine.
right,
You
priming
did
it.
all that. But you let me like deal with like the what was the saline or the heparin. So I had to get all that set out for you and all the little things like
That's
gloves.
another thing. We had a little setup. You talked
Yeah,
about tips and tricks. That was
yeah,
something that you thought of. We used we used gallon size bags or like little quart size bags, and we prepped for like a whole week or 2 weeks worth of
yeah.
all of the little things
That was
needed,
that wasn't
the before
original. I've seen
treatment
that.
and after.
I seen that online somewhere or seen it from. It wasn't something that I actually created, but
Right.
that
Well,
was
you
something
just
I
thought of
seen.
that. We kept them in a
Yeah,
basket, so you already knew to grab
yeah.
that bag for
That
pre-treatment,
and
Yep,
post-treatment.
yeah,
yep.
and that, and then I would actually get my bags out of the. I'd already tore them out and had my bags laying out for the next day, and we had bought an automotive cart. We went to what was it, Harbor Freight,
Harbor Freight.
and we bought this cart with rollers on it, and that way we could, when we were done with the machine, kind of push it out of the way into the corner and kind of just, that way it wasn't in the way, and it just made it more efficient for us. And on the bottom there was this like tray area. I guess they would use for tools or whatever you want to use it for. We used it for storage of our bins and stuff. We had little totes and
Little
stuff.
plastic bins, yeah.
So we had like our gauze and our alcohol swabs and all
Our
that stuff.
syringes.
Syringes and any of the supplies we needed were on that cart. And then we dedicated a closet to our dialysis, like dialysate and heparin and cartridges. I had a whole like hall closet, but even then, I still had them coming down the hall, and a few in the living room. And believe it or not, just to dismiss a myth, we have 2 cats here, and so the cats never clawed my dialysate or anything. They didn't bother my machine. They never really made. Melissa, I'm
Well,
telling the
during
truth.
treatment, we always had the cats in the bedroom where you did your treatments
True,
in the living room.
we did do that for precaution, but I mean, I'm talking about like when
Oh yeah,
they,
during the day or whenever we
yeah,
weren't doing it. Yeah.
yeah, they never climbed on my machine. They never bothered my machine. There's been so many people say, "Well, I have pets. I can't do home dialysis." That's not really true. You can. You
Right.
just, you know,
Right.
Kyle, you have a cat, right?
Yeah. So when we found out, the day we found out Shannon was going to go on peritoneal, that door is shut 24/7 unless someone's going in or out. But we keep the cat out of that room. That's like a clean room right now.
Mhm.
So the pet doesn't go in there at all. It tries to sneak in there, but and has gotten in there, but otherwise no. The cat will not go anywhere in that room to keep it clean.
Yeah. Yeah. We have a cat too. And it's the oddest thing because she knows when he's done. And about the time that machine winds down for that last time, she comes up to see him. Other than that, she leaves him alone. We used to have the first time around we had 3 dogs and 2 cats, and we had our daughter's Chihuahua, and that silly little dog, her place was underneath the blanket in Jimmy's lap. 2 treatments every time,
Wow.
every time.
Yeah.
But I
Well,
wanted to go back to how well that as a care partner, as a caregiver, how well we know, the training that we've had. Um,
mhm.
we were fortunate enough in June to go on vacation with another couple that does peritoneal.
I seen that.
And so we're in North Carolina, 900 miles from home, and they're doing their treatment at night. We're doing ours during the day, and we worked it all out. It worked great. But one night, Jimmy's blood pressure, it was a hot day. We were out on the lake. It was humid. He didn't drink enough water. And um,
It dropped.
his blood pressure bottomed out, like
Mm.
really bottomed out, like
Wow.
53/30. It was
Oh.
low.
Oh.
And amazingly, it all just clicks. When you do it for so long, it clicks. And he's like, "You can just stop treatment. You can just take my needles out." I said, "Oh no, honey, I need access." And I opened up them white lines and dumped a bag of saline right into him.
Yes.
15 minutes, I spiked another bag. 15 minutes later, he was fine.
Yep.
Right.
You know?
He just needed that extra
You need
fluid.
that extra fluid.
Yes. Yep.
They used to do it to me all the time in center because they
Yep.
would pull too much fluid off of me.
Yep.
And usually about an hour before the end of treatment. And I got to a point with them that I knew it was coming on, and I would tell them. And sometimes they would listen, sometimes they wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why one of the other reasons why I'm glad I went to home dialysis was because, sometimes they just wouldn't listen to the patient. Your body, what's fixing to happen. It's
Absolutely.
happened to you. It's happened to you too many times for you not to know. Like, oh man, my blood pressure is dropping. You better adjust something on the machine somewhere, or turn me off, or something. And sure enough, yeah, they'd have to throw me back in the chair because my blood pressure would drop to like 80/50 or
Yep.
something like that.
Yep.
And sure enough, yeah. But
when Shannon was on hemo in center, it was her cheeks, and I said that's the window into her body. If they go white, you guys better get ready. And there was a few times I would call them, they'd be like, everything's fine, and I'd be like, no, get ready, she's crashing. And it's just, I know her, and you guys, I'm telling you how to treat her. Watch her cheeks. If they go white, get ready.
Exactly. And it's interesting how that we as care partners, we need to educate them.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And it's important. We need to advocate for our loved ones. We need to speak up and say, no. I remember when Jimmy was on ECMO and they were getting ready to put him back on his anti-rejection meds. And I told the head of the University of Iowa, I said, no, you're not putting him back on the mycophenolate. What? I said, no, I need to talk to his nephrologist at home. And of course, the nephrologist at home is like, Dawn, he's the head. I said, I don't care if he's Jesus Christ himself. Okay. I don't care. You're his doctor. You're the one we talk to. And he said he has to be on something. And I said, fine, he can be on the TAC and he can be on the prednisone, but he is not going to be on the mycophenolate. And he's done great. He's in fabulous.
That's right. Yep, it's awesome. Yeah, sometimes it doesn't matter who it is. You just have to tell people straight and how it's going to
Yep.
be. And like you said, you're caring for him, so you know him best. And Kyle, same situation. Melissa with me. So I mean, Melissa's the reason why I'm even sitting here, because I was being a stubborn husband. Thought I was fighting the flu. No, it was stage 5 ESRD, and she kept begging me to go to the emergency room. She's like, something's wrong. You need to get up and go to the emergency room. And
For
then,
2 days, I
yeah,
begged you. 2
and
days.
I end up in a helicopter. You're in stage 5 ESRD. Your kidneys are failed. We got to get you to dialysis. And of course, I'm in a smaller town here. They don't have dialysis at my hospital for whatever reason, and they don't even have a machine. So they put me in a helicopter and got me to San Antonio as quick as they could. But because of a care partner, and my wife knew something was wrong, that's what saved my life. So, and then of course, she becomes my caregiver doing home dialysis. So let's just put it this way: I owe Melissa a whole lot. So yeah, I gave her 2 children, so I don't know. That's probably not payback, because right now they're teenagers. So let's see what happens.
I'll give them back.
But listen, guys, I got really like one, maybe 2 more questions. We could probably fit them in. One that's going to be a quick one. So just real quick, in-center dialysis or home dialysis?
Home. Always home. No
Well,
question about it.
in our case, home. If God, forbid, if you ever had to go back on dialysis, I would do it all over again. Even though it makes me nervous, I would still do it.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Because
I know
I knew what you would go through in center, and the nurses are great. It's not the nurses; it's just the way they do things. Their protocols.
Yep.
Just. And our center wasn't a bad center. It's just I seen a lot that went on in the center that I didn't care for. Plus the schedule. You were Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and you're right. You were stuck to that schedule only. You had to take that time frame, because when they fit you in from the very beginning, they didn't even have a spot for you.
Yeah.
You had to stay in the hospital an extra week when you had your emergency failure, and they couldn't even get you aligned in a chair. And so definitely home, because you could do it at any time of the day. Like they are doing it 7 days. We did it 5. It's whatever, you do your treatment according to your doctor's prescription, but like the extra treatments do cleanse your body better than just doing 3. Your kidney, the function of a machine still is only a small percentage of what a real kidney would do. So you just do the best scenario you can for the best cleansing,
Exactly.
And I would choose home.
And the thing is, Melissa, it's like you said, our clinic's good. In center, you know what? They're good at what they do, but their job is to do the bare minimum to keep you alive of the 3 days. And their goal is
because they have 100 patients to deal with all day long.
Yes. And so,
you
and
have
their
that
goal
one patient that's your husband or wife or sister, mother, whoever that you're caring for. That person is your number one. And, they can't give that 100% to all 100 people. And I understand that,
and because they're only going 3 days a week, their goal at the center is to get them to their dry weight, because they're not going to see them for another at least 48, sometimes 72 hours.
Right.
So they have to get them to that dry weight. Now for us, you know what? Jimmie might be a little heavy, and his blood pressure's a little low. Do you think I'm taking any fluid off of him? Heck no. We'll get it the next day. It'll be fine.
Right.
All right. That's the freedom that we have of being at home.
Yes.
And just like our emergency where we had to do the emergency rinse back, we couldn't complete the treatment because we still had an hour to go, but we did it the next day anyway.
Yep. And then if you're in center, usually you would come in heavy because you got those, day or so in between, and you had to wait to get in. Especially the scary thing was like over the weekends for me, because I would have that hidden fluid. that I wasn't mindful of. Maybe it was just something that I ate because I was really good about the 32 ounces. I was on, limited to 32 ounces a day of fluid. But somewhere down the line, whether it was a salad I ate or something, I was getting a little bit of extra fluid. And I'd go in center and I would be a little heavy. So, you had to wait. And I didn't have those episodes when I had home dialysis because I was able to go home and get a treatment. And we did a lot of our treatments at night when I was like watching TV. And it gave me a little liberty to be able to eat a little bit more of things that I enjoyed. I didn't go over abundance, but I enjoyed, like, if I wanted to have the slice of pizza, I didn't feel so nervous about it because I knew I could jump on the machine and get a cleansing and, I was going to be okay.
But at the same time, you were still very strict.
Oh, I was.
say.
Yes, I was. But I'm just saying it gave me some liberty as far as on some things. I wouldn't even touch a piece of pizza when I was, in center. But home dialysis, I felt better about doing things. Everybody cheats. I mean, let's just be real. People cheat. They're going to go to the restaurant. They're going to go places. But it gave me that liberty because I think
our downfall was Mexican restaurants.
We live in Texas. We live in Texas, so it's expected.
It was the queso and the salsa. I admit.
Absolutely. Well, I do know that the first time that Jimmie was on home hemo, that even before he got transplanted, we talked about it and said if he got a transplant and for some reason he had to go back on dialysis, we knew we were going to come back to HHD. We knew that. And when he was in the hospital in ICU, just coming off of ECMO, knowing this is where he's headed, I'm on the phone with his dialysis nurse saying, all right, how soon can we get in there for a quick retrain? Because it's been 5 years.
Right.
And she goes, we'll cross that bridge. I've got things in the works. It's okay. It's okay. Yeah. And I felt very supported.
So Kyle, did you have something that you wanted to chime in with the peritoneal? Because I know you guys just started the process. How do you feel? Would you go back in center, or you want to continue with peritoneal?
You know what? Number one, I agree with in-home, but it's not up to me either. Whatever Shannon's more comfortable with, and I guess any other patient, like I can say as a caregiver, I love having her home and doing it here. But if she's not comfortable here, I would let her go back to hemo. But I think if she could answer, and she probably will in about a second.
Yeah, we'll see her comment here in a minute.
Right. she's gonna pick home dialysis. It's much easier on her, much easier on our lives. But I think each patient has to weigh out their own lives. What works best for you and your family, and but home is much, much easier.
Yes, it is.
It's a lot of work and it's a big commitment, but it totally pays off.
Absolutely.
I mean, I've had people say, oh, I can't do it because I don't have any space. We live in a small place. It's like, okay, well, now after, October, guess what? I can come back and say, well, we lived in a camper for 2 weeks and had a week's worth of
love
supplies.
watching your videos. I was like, that's awesome. I want to be in an RV.
And you know what? We were so excited about the whole doggone thing that guess what? We bought one. And next stage is wrapping it. And we're going out on the road again in the spring.
That's awesome.
That is amazing. Yeah. It's amazing to watch you guys because you're just thriving and living life and doing things that some dialysis patients are probably amazed because they think, I'm in center. I mean, how are they doing this? And so it's amazing to watch you guys. It's definitely a source of inspiration to watch you guys thrive and travel.
Well, I got to add something on that. Being tied down to in center, it kept Jonathan from going to his dad's funeral because they couldn't authorize it. His insurance hadn't kicked in well enough to go from state to state. It only covered him while he was in Texas, and he missed his own father's funeral.
Oh, my God.
And so if he had done the home hemo, we could have taken our next stage machine with us.
Mm-hmm.
We would have made sure we had everything with us and drove it, to Kentucky. Right. That's where we're from. And I look back at that and like the home dialysis, and I think even peritoneal, you can take your machine with you. So it's like that's the freedom. If you needed to do something, you can definitely make it work. Yeah, it's extra planning, but it's doable.
Yeah, it was a tough blow. I mean, while I was fighting for my life in the hospital, my father was fighting for his too. He'd had a heat stroke. Then they let him go home, and as you know, once you have a heat stroke, you can have another one pretty quickly. So he went home, and I don't know why, but for whatever reason, my father was found dead a couple days in his home. He had been in his home for a couple of days where they think he either had a heart attack or another heat stroke.
Oh,
And so that was about a month after I was home, Melissa,
Yeah.
from my near-death experience.
Right.
Kidney failure.
You had just
Yeah.
started your
So
in-center treatment.
it was a huge blow, and then the fact that I couldn't travel up there. So yeah, I mean, if I had been on home hemo, you know what, we would have packed up and we would have went for sure. But my father's in a better place, and God rest his soul, and still miss him, still
Right.
think
I
of
didn't
him.
mean to bring up, sad moments, but I was like, that's an
You know what?
instance that,
No, you're fine.
when you need to go, you can take your machine with you
Yeah.
wherever
exactly.
it is.
No,
Exactly.
this-
Yeah, actually, it's funny because we've had people, they're like, how do you do that? How do you just get up and go? And, I was asked the other day, does your center worry about you? And I said, I don't think so, because the very first trip we took away from home, we camped in a tent and ran off a generator at a motorcycle rally with 10,000 people around us.
That's
Oh, wow.
awesome.
So, I mean, that's about
I could see that. I could see
Yeah.
that happening.
That's about as
Yeah.
rugged as you're gonna get, right?
Exactly. So, being in a camper, that's like paradise.
Right.
Well, listen, guys, we're over our hour, which is fine with me. We could talk about this all night, but we want to kind of bring it to a close. So the name of the show is Hope with Jonathan. So for those of you out there that may be considering possibly becoming either a home dialysis patient, whether you're going to choose hemo or peritoneal, or maybe you are considering becoming a caregiver, we want to give the guests here an opportunity to give you some words of wisdom, words of hope, words of inspiration. So I guess we'll start with you, Melissa. You want to?
Oh, I'm always first. Basically, if you're ever considering it, the funny thing is, watch a YouTube video. You can learn a lot on YouTube. Google it. Do your research. That's your best thing. Like we talked about earlier, education. We were like deer in headlights from the get-go. When you're thrown into a disease or an illness, that's definitely going to get you. But just do your research. If it's for you, it'll work out. If you don't like it, there's always the in-center. But just ask questions. Ask your nurses, the doctors, anyone in the medical field that within nephrology could help you make your decision. But definitely do the research.
Don, you want to go next?
Absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't say it any better, Melissa. Yeah, you make sure that you have that information, because information is power. And the more information you have, the more you're going to be able to make an educated decision for you, for your loved one. And yes, being a care partner it's a big commitment. It is. And it's not all unicorns and rainbows.
Right.
You got your good days, you got your bad days. And I will tell you, I've had days that I've had to say to Jimmie, do you need to go back into center to remember how badly you felt? Of course,
Right.
I don't think I could ever send him there because I would feel so bad. But
Sure.
Send him to timeout. There he goes.
yeah, yeah. And that's another thing that people don't talk about, is that, there is respite, where if that care partner needs that break, or if they're having surgery, or if something goes on, their loved one can go back into a center 3 days a week for that short period of time.
Right.
So that is an option, but it is a big commitment. And, for us, we wouldn't do it any other way. He'll never go back into center unless there's no other option.
Awesome.
Right.
Kyle, you're up, brother.
All right. No, I agree with everything the ladies have said. But in my case, I would say we are not the heroes of this scenario. The warrior, the person with kidney disease, you guys are the heroes. I call, we use the term kidney warrior, and I say we're the shield of that warrior in their battle. We're just the shield. We're protecting you from, doctors that don't know what they're doing, emergency room doctors that aren't nephrologists. We're protecting you from your machine, all those things. We're your shields. I think that is a better terminology than care partner. We are the shield of the warrior. And a lot of warriors carry more shields than one, because my 9-year-old's almost a better nurse than I am. So, but if you're facing this situation as a caregiver or as a warrior, reach out to us too. We can help. With KWM, Hope with Jonathan, the two nice ladies there, we know how to get in touch with many other caregivers too. I do think that we need to have something more caregiver support. I know up here in Canada, there's not a lot for the actual caregiver. It's mainly focused on the patient, which is right. Yeah, go ahead.
I have to throw this out here, Kyle. I am a co-facilitator for a care partner group called Solace Alliance. It's on Facebook. We meet every other Wednesday. Like when I'm done here, I'm hopping on, and we meet
cool.
every other week. And there are people from all over the place.
Okay.
And
so
it
I
is
didn't know about that,
it's
so
for
that's
care
good.
partners. Yeah, it's for
Yeah,
care
that's a good
partners.
idea, because there's all kinds of support groups for the actual patient, which
Yeah.
I've
Yep.
kind of listened in on Jonathan's support group meetings. I'm kind of in the sidelines, but yeah, that's a really good idea for caregivers to have their own support group, because
support
you may
is
want to
crucial.
vent about something that's happened through your day that you really can't vent to the patient because you don't want to scare them or upset them, but you can also get into touch with other people that are going through the same thing you're going through on the other side. You're the the caregiver side.
And my biggest advice, if you are a caregiver or becoming a caregiver, is listen to your patient.
Yeah.
Because there's days that we have had plans with the little one to go to the park, and Shannon just doesn't have the energy. And yeah, it's upsetting. We wanted to do this family thing, but let's find something around the house now. You just got to be able to switch it off and move on to the next thing. And it works. And the more that you have patience with your patient, your partnership is going to do phenomenal, and you'll be good. And it says it takes 10,000 hours to become an expert in anything. Well, we're all experts now. So
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
Absolutely. I would say I would add in to have patience with your patient,
yeah,
because there's going to be some hectic moments and some times that, like I said, it's not always going to be a bed of roses. It's not always going to be perfect, but so you're going to have patience for sure, and definitely patience with yourself as you begin to learn the process, because it is a learning curve and there are things that you're going to have to learn. But you guys are amazing. I appreciate you so much for coming on tonight and sharing your stories, and information that we've shared here is just so it's worth its weight in gold, if not more. It's invaluable, and especially for those that may be considering wanting to be, either a caregiver or maybe considering going on home dialysis. And so I appreciate you guys coming on tonight. It's been an excellent show. Lots of great information shared. And hope Jimmie's doing good over there in the corner.
He's great.
He's relaxing now.
Yep,
He is.
just chilling.
He's just chilling.
I appreciate you, Jimmie, for coming on. And,
You bet.
And Don, and you guys are amazing. Kyle from Canada, Toronto, Canada. And I know if, Shannon hadn't been sick, maybe we could have got Shannon on the show. And Melissa, we should have just pulled up a chair. You could have been right next to me. You're over in the other room.
I think our sound would have we would have muffled over top of each other.
No. People do it all the time.
We do it all the time.
I know I answer your sentences, so I finished the sentences, so I should have just sat next to you.
But hey, guys, I really appreciate everybody for joining on and watching our YouTube show here. Hope with Jonathan, it's been amazing. We've had a lot of people watching, lots of interaction and comments. Definitely appreciate your support. If you haven't already had a chance, please hit the subscribe button. It would help us in our mission of sharing warrior stories just like this one tonight. Hey, guys, hope you guys have a really blessed holiday season. For those of you that just celebrate, happy holidays. I say Merry Christmas. So Merry Christmas to you guys. Happy New Year and all that. And hope you guys have a blessed one. Thanks again for watching Hope with Jonathan. Y'all take care. And y'all have a
Merry
blessed
Christmas,
evening.
everybody.
Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas.